Hello, everyone, and welcome back to From Within She Rises. Today is a very special collaboration episode, one of those conversations that feels like sitting at the table with your friends who are actually doing the real life work alongside you. So before we begin, as always, let's drop into the body. I want you to close your eyes if it feels good to do so. Just take a slow inhale in through the nose and an exhale out through the mouth. Just let your shoulders fall off the body here. Let them drop. Feeling your feet against the floor or the bed. Feel the weight of you here right now. I want you to bring your hand to your heart and one to your lower belly. Really letting your jaw and your body soften here. Let your tongue rest. Let it drop from the roof of your mouth. Inhaling gently again through the nose. Exhaling and telling your nervous system, I am safe to be here. One more breath in. And exhaling. I don't have to figure it all out right now. Okay, we're here. Let's begin. Let's get into it. So today I am joined and they are joined. We're all joined together in one collaborative podcast that will be used for both sides by Aubrey and Laura. And yeah, so maybe you want to say a little bit about yourselves and then I can for
Sure.
everyone. Yeah.
All right. So I'm Laura. I live in Birmingham, Alabama. Wife, mother to three kiddos under 8, and I stay home with the youngest. And yeah, Aubrey and I wanted to start talking about some of our experiences and ways that things we've learned since we met. And so you can kind of talk about
More.
you.
Yeah, Aubrey, I live same place, mother of 3 as well. All my kids are in school, but I've had this time on my hands since they've all been in school this year and just kind of was ready to start telling our story and things we've learned and integrated and like so many invitations to unravel old belief systems and identity and just been through a lot in 5 years. 5 years of
Yes.
knowing each other.
Yes.
And so we thought it was time to just start synthesizing it or putting it out there for anyone that may be curious. And so
Yeah.
that's why we started this podcast.
I love that. I love that. Well, I'm Jessie and also mother of 4. And yeah, I feel like my main goal at this point is to live in non-duality as much as I can. And I realized I had a good life lesson yesterday that made me realize that, hey, I also need to live in the real world. So
Mm.
there's that. It's like really I
So
feel
fun.
like spiritually, uh, being spiritually awake, like having this level of awareness, is whatever we're calling it, is just
Mm.
you really have to live in the liminal space where you're like, I'm up here getting all these downloads, but I'm a mother. And I feel like it makes it easier though, being a mother. Maybe you guys can relate to that.
Oh, being a mother was like a huge catalyst to shifting and changing. All of
Mm,
a sudden, you're like, why do I do the things that I do? Why do I react the way that I react to life? And what do I actually want to
mhm,
teach these little people
Yeah.
that I'm now
mhm.
responsible for? I think before that, you kind of have the option to just float through life and
Yes.
not really think too much about what you're doing. And then all of a sudden, when you're responsible for another human, I just like that brought up a lot.
Yeah. I mean, parenting is just like this huge initiation into like, who am I? What do I think and
Mm,
believe? Like, why is all this coming up at me? I think that was it for me. Of feeling like,
mm.
what is happening? Why am I reacting this way?
Why am I
Why am
crazy?
why am I crazy? Why am I so mad? What's going
Yes, what am
on?
I so mad
So you
about?
can choose to like disassociate and numb out or what, which is for everyone, right? Everybody's on their own path. But I think
Mhm.
choosing the path of like, okay, let me go inward. Let me look at
Yeah.
who I am, what's going on, what can I heal, what can I pass down healing to my kids. And if I'm not living it or
Mm,
embodying it, but I'm speaking these things out to them of like how they should treat others, I'm not even treating myself that way. How is that going to actually change anything? Or, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're like the ultimate truth tellers too. So
Yeah, they have no
if you're
filters.
not being authentic, they're gonna call you out.
Yeah.
Like,
They will be like, you said you were going to do this today, Mom. Why aren't you doing this? And you're like, because I'm tired.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm
yeah.
triggered.
so
Yeah.
many reasons.
I'm in my late autumn. I mean, whatever it is.
Yeah. It's interesting because you guys are so lucky to have each other. You said you've been like
Yeah.
dismantling together for 5 years. And I don't
Yes.
think a lot of us get to have that
Yeah.
partner to dismantle with.
Yeah. I do feel like that has been a huge blessing. And another thing that we want to share and invite people into is, we met in 2020. We met as like young mothers with young babies. We have some other friends in our group that have gone through a similar journey with us, and it has been so needed to have someone say like, "Hey, you're not crazy. Like, hey, I see you. I see what you're going through, and I'm doing it
Mm-hmm.
too." And just having that like affirmation
Yes.
has been
Having
great.
people to like
Yeah.
talk about these ideas, and the internet is great, and like people talking about these things is wonderful. But having people in your real life who know you and see you in your marriage,
Yeah.
and see you in your parenting, and see you when you're just like on a fun girls' night, but they know you. And having those people
Mm.
speak these things. And then I'll also say the invitations that come up within this kind of dynamic where you're like, hey, I've opened these doors to this sovereignty, to this self responsibility, to this ego death.
Mm-hmm.
We're working on this, talking about this together. You will have so many beautiful, wonderful invitations that come for you. And it'll usually be from that person, like from those people that you're doing this with. So it's been like an immersive, intensive of what
Mm.
needs to die. And we're going to hold each other to it, and we're going to be here for it. But it has been
Very intense. Yeah. So it's like beautiful,
I
but
love that.
yeah, we joke now at the time that like we must have signed something in the spiritual life.
in
We must
You
blood.
most definitely
sign something.
did.
And most people at this point would have been like, you know what? I think I'm gonna move on. I think I'm gonna find a different group of friends to hang out with. But we just keep coming
Well
back for
done.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's
how is it?
amazing. Yeah. You're very lucky because that's not, I've always done everything on my own. So
Mhm.
you're very lucky to have, yeah, and it's very isolating. But I think at the end of the day, I reflect back and I'm like, okay, like I kind of get I had to have those experiences. But that's why Juan and I had created the online community. But to have a friend group in person that's all doing this would be so wonderful. I think
Yeah.
it's also, I do have a few friends here that are really amazing and like they don't speak the same language, but they're
Mhm.
definitely like the core is like love and like growth. It just looks different, which is also beautiful. But
Yeah.
leading up to this point, it was very much alone. So I love that now the world is shifting in a way that more people are doing the work. So then you can actually find people within your community that are doing the work, which is amazing because it's
Yeah.
not so fun on your own. Like my husband, I always go back to that example. He does not do the work. Nope, doesn't care.
Yeah.
Doesn't do. Maybe you can um understand that, but yeah, he does not care about any of the spiritual stuff, does not want to do any of the things, does not want to go inward. And so it was very isolating at first to be like, okay, well, he was just so understanding though. I will say, like, he's such an incredible man for being like, okay, go do your meditation, go do your breath work, and like just being like so understanding of, okay, mom needs her time, and like really stepping up to the plate here in other aspects has been amazing. But it's lonely in your head. Like it's lonely when you're like, oh, look at this thing. And I, at the beginning, used to have these conversations with him and be like, oh my God, this thing just clicked. And like I would explain it and he'd sit there and be like, and then like a few minutes later, he'd be like, honey, I'm sorry you lost me. And now I
Yeah.
have come to realize that I lose him about 20 seconds in. And so
Oh.
I just don't.
20 seconds. Then you need to move on.
Oh.
Yeah.
What I feel like though, so we've definitely gone through similar things with our husbands not being as interested in some of the things that we're interested in. And I think
Mm,
somewhere along the way though, there was a nice shift into like all the work is inside of me anyway. So he may think
yeah.
he's not doing the work,
Yeah.
but like me doing the work is actually shifting and changing him. And shifting
Mm,
our environment. And so I can almost just sometimes now even I like play around with like, you're kind of struggling with something. I'm not saying this with words. Like internally, I'm like, he's kind of struggling with something. I'm just gonna like bring you into
yeah.
my
Yeah.
field.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna kind of transmute some things for you. not even consciously, and then like watch him shift and change. Like I just think there's something really
Mm,
powerful about being a woman, and that might be why I think on a lot of times we're kind of
mm,
on the front line of the spiritual changes is like we actually hold a field that
mm.
moves and shifts everyone around us. Whew.
Yeah. Sorry, I just
Yeah,
felt
that's
that.
very true.
Yeah, there's magic to that. There's something in the earth of like the women leading. And I think from my old framework, it used to be like, why aren't the men leading? Like, we're
Oh
supposed to
yeah, why
follow
don't they step
them.
up? Why don't they
Yes.
wanna yeah.
And for so long, we fought
They
against
have
that.
stepped up, just not well for the long time, so it's not their turn anymore. Although
Yes.
there's
Yes.
still so many of them that are so incredibly like they're stepping up. So it's just
Oh
like
yeah.
we see way more women stepping up to this work for sure.
Yeah.
I think we have something I mean, there's so much to like the way that we are designed is just more open
Yes.
to the spiritual realm and all the ability to shift and change in that way. I think is just we just have an easier connection to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think there's a reason why women I am not gonna say awaken first, but I feel like we don't somebody
Hmm.
had posted a video a while back and it was talking about the Kundalini awakening and then it was talking about twin flames or whatever and how like the man is going to awaken up awaken in the mind first and then the woman's going to awaken in the body first.
Okay.
And I've just seen it so much manifested in my life because I had like an experience with Jesus. Like that's what awoke me is like I was doing a self-healing Reiki session and I see Jesus. And then my
Okay.
throat burns and all of a sudden I am having downloads every day. And I'm like, what in the
Oh,
heck is this? Right. So
Yeah.
it happened through the body. But then I
yeah.
had this beautiful conversation with somebody this week and they were talking about their experience and they asked me like, what are the 5 people that you've consumed that have made like such a huge difference in your awakening? And I was like, none. I'm like, I don't look for God in my mind. I look for God in my felt sense in my body, right? So I
Yes.
have very much been surrendered to, okay, show me what I'm meant to see. It's been like a full on, if it comes into my awareness, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like right now I just started reading the Bible again to redeem Paul, which may be triggering for some, but now that I see it from like a non-dual lens, I'm like, man, he was living from the field of consciousness. Like he was living from non-duality and the keys are right there in the words and we just can't see them because we don't want to look past the fact that we think that this is the identity that he held and
Yeah.
that's the identity that he's going to have for us. Um,
We're
but
always doing this
anyway,
with our framework, right? So if our frame
yes.
is like our framework growing up was the Bible is 100% true.
Every bit of it.
Everything's very
Mm,
literal.
very literal. Yeah.
Men lead, women are submissive. That means
Quiet.
that you're quiet. That means that you don't, yeah, push back on anything.
Yeah.
And so move into, we kind of had to pendulum, right? To like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe
Mm,
we have issues with all this. But I like love, I saw that yesterday that you were talking about Paul, and I love that invitation to kind of come back to like, actually, there's so much goodness in scripture still. I've kind of taken a break,
Yeah.
but because
yeah,
I went
I
so
think we
hard
have
so
to.
long, I kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
took a break. But I'm actually like feeling just even from you talking about it on the internet yesterday, this kind of pull back into like, oh, there's so much goodness in there. And I experienced so much goodness
Yeah.
the first time around. And like, what would it even hold even more of now?
Mhm.
Uh,
Mm,
Coming back with a
yeah.
different in a
yeah.
different framework and knowing that it's like for you and not
Mm,
to create a framework of who God is or who I am in the world, but like knowing who you are rooted and trusting that God is
yeah.
within and that whatever is to be eliminated and what's there for you is for you. I don't know. There's just a
Mm,
freedom aspect coming back to scripture or even for me, like prayer or
mm-hmm.
meditation, whatever it is that I kind of like had to
Yeah.
come really far away from to work out some of my religious church upbringing and
Yeah.
background. Coming back around to it now and not being scared of it or like, oh no, it's going to overtake me or it's going to like put me in this box or put God in this box or do I have to accept that
Mm,
I'm that in order to be able to read this book anymore? And
mm,
coming back in and saying,
yeah.
I'm actually freed from that. And like God is in this as in all things. And so it's
Yeah.
been beautiful, but I feel the same about the Paul thing that you've
Mhm.
been talking about. I'm like, oh, I do have some feelings about Paul. Why do I have feelings about Paul? Because I've gone on all different ends of the spectrum with him, And now I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
I can totally just receive what's for me and whatever illuminating insights God's
Yeah.
showing you. And like, that's just beautiful. I just think that's such a wonderful part of the whole invitation. And
Yeah. I think we get stuck on that, like, okay, now I see Paul this way. Yes, I see Paul this way. I see him as somebody who's already living from the field. Now that I'm living from the field and I'm reading his words and they're speaking to this lens that I'm living from, right? But they spoke to a different lens before, right? They've spoken to an
yeah,
in-between lens where I'm like, oh, this is kind of like he's slowly unraveling, he's slowly letting God in. But now I'm like, oh, maybe he already was letting God in. I just wasn't looking at the words the same.
Yeah.
And so the truths are always like there's infinite truths, really,
yeah,
right? Like all of our identities. I think maybe just looking at how like we're having conversations with people and you're trying to get something across and it's just not getting across the way you want to say it is a good example of how when you pick up the Bible, you're reading someone else's words that they're putting on paper beautifully and they're putting their meaning into it, but you're going to receive it however you are in that moment.
Yeah,
And
that's
yeah,
it's
true.
gonna be so true for you in that moment, and the next time you'll read it and you're gonna receive it differently because 'cause you're like, maybe you're upset and you needed something to calm you down. Maybe you're activated and you need something to bring you down, like, you're going to receive what you need from it in that moment, and
That's
all
true.
of them are true. And when
mhm,
you can kind of see that, like, there's, like, infinite truths and, like, it really is, like, I will like, I pick it up and I'm like, "Okay, show me what I haven't seen yet, or show me what I need to see right now," instead of, like, okay, let me go read the literal words because words in and of themselves, like, they're just my daughter, I said this a while ago, asked me, the 13-year-old, who decided what words were gonna go in the dictionary and what they were gonna mean? And I was like, I've literally never thought of this, but
yeah,
that's valid because somebody just was like, this is what we're calling this.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then they wrote it down and they told you what it was going to be. And we were like, okay. And then all of a sudden we have this curated list of words that we're like, yes, that's what they mean.
Yeah.
yeah. That is one of the biggest when I was going through all of your history of like your videos, that one stuck out and stayed with me for so long. The meaning of words and the
Mm,
meaning we give them and how we get to kind of rewrite some of those things for our kids, for ourselves.
yeah.
That is so huge. Especially coming from a place where you're, for me, kind of told what to think, how to think,
Mm-hmm.
what the framework is. You don't really get to ask questions and like
Mm,
intuitively know things. So
There's also, like, one way of looking at things.
yeah.
One truth. There's one truth, there's one way of looking
yes.
at things. There's only
Yeah.
one word for apple. Like, there is only
Mhm.
but then you get
Yeah.
lost in translation. Is it an apple or a pomegranate? And then you've opened a whole new door, and it's like
Once you start to pull a thread,
Yeah.
right,
this
you're like,
thread might not
"Oh,
be it.
I keep pulling," and it just completely unravels. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yes.
you're like, "I don't believe any of this." And I think there's also a level of that you have to do that. You have to pick up the
Oh,
Bible
yeah.
and unravel it all and be like, "This is all bullshit."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you come back from a different lens and you're like, "Oh, okay, like, show me what you want me to see right now."
Yeah.
So good.
Mhm.
So true. And I do identify, I meant to say this with the husband thing of like not having that spiritual discussion and openness.
Mm,
And I will say, meeting Jesus in what we call the secret place or the spiritual realm and
mm,
it being this presence of like not only friend or father, but like husband for me in a lot of
mm,
situations was also really healing. I was just curious if you've had
mm.
like encounters more so with Jesus that have been helpful in freeing that part of your journey.
I don't it's interesting because I think when I got into I've been in toxic relationships before. When I got into the relationship with my husband, it was not I wasn't looking for something. Our relationship in and of itself kind of evolved very organically. It was like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna hang out," and like we didn't actually put a label on it until 18 months down the road. And then somebody was like, "Oh, well, you guys would make really cute babies." And then we're like, "Okay, let's have this discussion." And
Yeah.
then like we have a baby,
Okay.
and then we're like, "Oh, okay, maybe we should get married." And it's never been like it's just been like I feel like our relationship has been surrender. And
Mhm.
I knew I was getting into the fact that he's just not interested in God. And if he gets there, great. But I think that's part of the hard issue is that we in like that non-dual space is that now I know he can't meet God. Can I meet him where I am and be like, I respect that you're just not interested in this at this time.
Mhm.
And that is the hardest part, is like we're learning relationally and like with everyone that we meet, but can we respect where they're at? And that's the hard one.
Yeah.
I think too, like a lot of freedom came in that area when I started to see one that like this whole view of hell that I'd held for so long of like, okay, you
Mm,
don't believe this specific way. And
mhm.
like to an extreme level too, not just like you don't believe in God, but like you don't believe in God and you haven't, given your whole life
Baptized and
now
yeah.
look like this. You have done all
Yeah.
of these things, then you might be spending eternity in hell, and I'm responsible
To tell
for
you that.
fixing that for you. And
Yes.
being able to shift
Yes.
like martyr mentality, shift my view of like what God is even like looking for in a relationship with us and what an afterlife
Mm,
even means, and all of that being so much more free. I just don't feel the concern for everyone around me that I used to feel. Or the weight.
mm,
So it's literally like I can actually just like let you be exactly where you are and trust that that's
mhm.
exactly what you need. And I don't have to change any of that. I don't have to worry about any of that. And that
Yeah.
to me freed up a lot in my relationship with my husband, freed up really my relationship with
Everybody.
everyone.
Everyone you encounter.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Your kids even. I fee like that was such a thing
Yes.
growing
Oh,
up of
yeah.
like, you have to make sure they're saved. You don't wanna be the parent, the kid
Mm,
saved. 'Cause then, like, what does it say about you? So, yeah, I totally can resonate with just like, "Oh, I get to just love you. I get to
Mm.
believe that
yeah.
you are fully loved. You are
And that you're
exactly where you need
good.
to be. You are good. Like, your core
Mm,
or your identity is beloved, good, love.
Yeah.
And I don't
yeah.
fix you or convince you of anything. I just get to love you. And if I'm believing that about myself as far as beloved and good, how am I
Mm,
showing up differently versus we're
mm,
all sinners and we all need, to be saved. So I gotta save
yeah.
everyone else too. It
You
just
gotta
changes
save them all.
Yeah.
your
Don't
nervous.
forget your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Changes your nervous system too. I have a very similar story. Yeah, just like with my husband and God and me worrying for like a decade of, well,
Mm,
I'm a Christian and he's not. What do I do with that? Trying to pray
mm,
him into salvation and then finding like, oh, he's exactly where he needs to be. And like, I'm not
yeah.
God, and I can just love him and trust that he's on his own
Mm,
path. And that was so freeing. So freeing.
yeah.
Yeah. And it opened up like being able to see so much of what our husbands do offer and like so
Yeah.
much of the good that they are.
Mm,
Yes.
And
mhm.
like how much of everything that they are is exactly what we each needed too.
Yeah.
So we thought we wanted to
Exactly.
be like this, that, or the other and show up
Yes.
this way. And then finally accepting like who they actually are, we were actually able to benefit from
The
all that they are.
masculine.
Mm, yes, that is so true. This is a good segue of like the saving your children, because
Yeah.
I know we wanted to talk about mothers. And my mother yesterday actually called me, and my cousin's getting married in July in Portugal because that's where my family's from and that's where she
Fun.
lives. And so she was like, "Oh, like, why don't you just call the priest and see if he'll baptize your two children while we're there?" And I'm like,
Oh, okay.
no. Yeah, okay. I was like, I thought she's like, "Well, don't you want to have them baptized?" I'm like, "I don't care. Like they are saved. They are already they are already perfect the
There
way
you
they are.
belong.
If they choose to get baptized when they're older, then cool. Like, yeah,
So
why
did you
not?"
grow up Catholic?
Yes.
Okay. I thought maybe I'd heard you say that in something before. Okay.
Yeah.
So that
So
is
I was
like a big
baptized when I
deal
was a
too.
month old. I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
been saved forever.
Forever.
What does that even mean? I just like
I don't
can't.
even know.
I can't get that one. It's okay. But yeah, I understand.
Yeah. When people are like, you need to find Jesus. I'm like, I found Jesus when I came out. Like, I was baptized immediately. If anything, in your framework, I found Jesus before you found Jesus.
It's
I don't know.
been since I was a baby.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh goodness.
yeah.
So you just told her you're able to say like, no, we're good. It's fine.
Yes, I've stood up to my mother for a really long time around this. And it's interesting because I think she is finding the God that lives within her in however she can find it right now. She's like learning how to meditate and like go up into that like field of consciousness and like awareness where you are like surrounded by love and surrounded by God. So she has like glimpses of it
Yeah.
now, which I didn't. It's interesting because like I've been talking about this to her for a while, and I like post about it every day, all day, and it's never my voice that speaks to her. It's always someone else's, and I was like, that's fine. Like I don't, and I think it's also a good lesson to learn is that we're not really like we're meant to center and anchor in our truth right now and share that and be witnessed in the snapshot that we are right now, but we're not necessarily being witnessed by the people we think we want to be witnessed by, right? We're being witnessed by others that are on the other side of the world and just needed to hear your one sentence in the middle of your video that all of a sudden was like, yes, that's what I've been thinking. Now I can trust it. Now I'm going to keep trusting it. And they go down their unique path. So yeah, it's been interesting because it's never been me. And then she'll come and like talk to me in like half my language. And I'm like, Mom, I've been saying that for like months.
Yes,
See?
I've been telling her for years.
that what you
I'm so
get?
glad. That's what I get with my mom.
Okay.
I get a lot of my mom. You know, we were raised the same way, whatever. But
Mm,
over the past 5 years, she's
Been part of it.
she's been part of it. She's been on the journey with us from a distance. 'Cause she
yeah, she's been
divorced.
witnessing.
Yes, but she's also done a lot of like we did a lot of story work, and that kind of was our catalyst
Mm,
into opening up this world and then getting into a more, charismatic but spiritual awakening and
yeah.
enlightenment and like having these encounters with God,
Mm,
what you're saying in the
mm,
spiritual place. But she was watching me change and observing how it was going. And she was like,
mm,
"Oh, how can see YouTube? What's going on?" And she has had a few encounters where she like has gotten to sit with Jesus and just
mm,
experience that love. And it's really interesting seeing her grow at this age and stage in life and change her mind and be curious and come back and say, "What's wrong? Like,
mm,
this is so beautiful. This is amazing. I want to learn more." It's just been really beautiful and encouraging for me.
yeah.
But she'll do a lot of that and she will ask, yeah, continue, like, where are you guys at? What are you learning? I kind of want to keep challenging
Mm,
myself. So
I
there's
love that.
that hope out there. Of, like, they can, like we're saying, show up as you are, who you are meant to
Yeah.
learning, and like who it's for, they will notice it if they're in your field. And like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I
I,
yeah, I think I expected like friction before. So when I would have the conversations, I was still energetically putting that out too. Like I thought she wouldn't meet me here. And now I'm like, yeah. Now I'm like, okay, I can say no. And I will even like kind of explain it through my lens. And then she's like, oh, okay. And I'm sure she'll bring it up again. But the
Yeah.
like the expectation of her fighting me back is gone. And she doesn't fight me back on it, if that makes sense.
yes,
Yeah, and
makes
that's
sense.
really beautiful. I feel like us starting this podcast has been sort of a fun process for me of like putting my voice out there, saying what I
Mm,
actually think about things, sharing part of how I've changed. Like I don't think it's shocking to my mom or my sister or anyone um that I have been changing. Like I think that's out there.
yeah.
But we stopped going to like organized church, and that has been something they've
Mm,
asked me about, but they really haven't pushed me on that much. And I think they
wow.
see who I am and they see like the
Mm,
goodness that's there and the good shifts that have
mhm.
happened. But it still can in my mind, I assume it's still sort of shocking some of the things that I share
Yeah.
and say. And so I'm still in that place of like expecting some pushback, expecting some friction. But I love hearing you say that, like moving into a place of just not even expecting that. I feel like the past couple days, even
Mm,
if I've gotten a text message or I've gotten something, I'm like, I could read into this and I could assume
yes.
that they're thinking this, that, or the other about me, or
Mhm.
I can actually choose to believe whatever I want about this text message. Oh, that actually
Mm,
so excited about what I'm doing and they want to talk to me about it because they are curious and they
mm.
think it's
Yep.
beautiful. Or whatever it is, and just kind of assume the best instead of the worst. And at least in me, I had to go through kind of a whole process of going to my womb space and like becoming sand. But it's like
Mm, yeah.
I have that access in the spiritual realm to kind of go and do whatever I need to do within myself. And then I can actually energetically show up
Mm,
in a different place. Um,
yeah.
so I'm curious, like from your background, like when you started the podcast and started showing up on media, I'm just kind of curious, like, what was that like to put out what you think, even knowing that like maybe your husband isn't that interested in this, or
You don't have friends that are talking about
right,
it. It
and
was
you're kind
very
of like
new.
stepping into something kind of on your own. I'm just kind of curious what that process was like.
So I was used to being seen because I come from bodybuilding. And I used to put my bare ass, not bare. I had basically bare ass on the internet all the time. And it's interesting because I think energetically when I was doing that, I was also being like, this is like, it was all about self-love. It was all about female empowerment. And I look at the metrics and I had like 7 to 8% male following, which I mean, for somebody who's putting their butt on the internet, I think I did really good boundary setting energetically.
Yeah.
But now I have like, I'm almost at 50-50 now. And I'm like, so weird now having like men like resonate with what I'm saying. But I took a little while to get there, just on the energetic side of things, because I was like, oh, this is about women. I'm still trying to cater. So I think it's all identity, right? So when I first started doing this, when I started talking about Jesus and bringing God into the equation, I started trying, like, I was in the middle somewhere where like I wouldn't go full throttle. And I was like, okay, how do I still tie this to nutrition? And how do I still tie this to like women's health or something? And then I would literally have like ideas download in, and I would like have all these content ideas, and I would do like, okay, one where I don't filter and I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be. And I would script that and I would put it on TikTok because nobody I knew followed me on TikTok.
Yeah.
That
And
freedom
then I would,
here.
yep. And then I would have one where I would put it on Instagram, and it was like catered towards who I knew was already following me. And so it was like Instagram was where I was like, okay, I'll keep my identity here. I'll just like slowly do like a soft launch of, and it didn't work. In case you're wondering, it was an absolute mess. I lost like, I never had like a huge following, but I had a beautiful business that was like everything that I could imagine. I always like energetically called in the right people and like had these beautiful containers, and I had 5,000 people following me there. And then by the beginning of October this year, I had 3,600, and now I have like almost 27, I think, thousand. So it's like wild, but it took me then. There was one moment I remember, and I wrote a letter to all of my friends on Facebook, and I was like, I am not holding back anymore. And I wrote this big long spiel, and I just plopped it on Facebook because my personal Facebook was like the bridge, because it was where all the people that I actually knew lived, but then they would also be on my Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And so the actual people that I cared about meeting me and witnessing me the way I wanted to be met and witnessed lived on Facebook. So I wrote this like long letter out to myself, and I plopped it on Facebook, and I was like, this is how I'm showing up. I'm not filtering anymore. Like, I'm going to be who I'm going to be. And I threw it on there, and then like everything shifted. I just started posting everything, only like the one content for all. And like I started being seen by the people that needed to see me, because it was never about the people that I wanted to see me. It was always about who needed to see me. And yeah. And as for the podcast, I didn't even like I had put out 20 episodes. The podcast too, for me, was like a safe place where I was like, okay, I can just go off on tangents, and I can have downloads, and I can go on here and just speak my truth. And I know my mom's not going to look, and I know my cousin's not going to watch it. And I know like these people are not going to actively seek it out. And I'm going to put it out there like softly in my bio if you want to listen. And I'm going to talk about it like on TikTok, but I don't really care. Even Substack for me was a place where I would like long form write what I knew that it was brand new followers, right? So it was I recommend just going full on and not caring. I really do. I wasted a lot of time in between there.
Because you're
But
fracturing, right? In a sense.
you know what? I will tell you exactly what my moment was that kept me from moving forward, and maybe you will resonate. I was waiting for my Judas moment, and I think we all have a Judas moment. And your Judas moment is the moment where somebody you love, that you know you would do anything for, and you'd support them. Like if they showed up tomorrow and they were like, I'm going to start devil worshiping, you'd be like, okay, that's not for me, but I will support you in this endeavor. Like, I'm here when you need me, if you need me, you know? And
Okay.
then that person doesn't support you.
Mm,
And
that
that's what I was fearing. And I knew exactly who it was that I was afraid to
mm,
have do this to me. And then the next day, like after I processed all this and I was like, okay, like they still love me. I don't need them to meet me at the level of love that I feel I could give them for them to
mm,
love me the same. And the next day I like had posted this awesome piece of content where I didn't filter myself, and the person that I was my Judas and I knew it was my Judas had liked it. And I was like, "Oh my God, that's so awesome." But then I went in there and the like was gone. So they had liked it and been like, "Oh, I don't actually like this. I like you as a person, but I don't like what
what
you're
you said.
saying." And I was like, "Oh." And then I'm like, "Okay. It's fine. I don't need them to meet me where I'm at." And I feel like that was it for me.
Mm,
You are expecting somebody to be your Judas. And honestly, the expectation is right. I think we all have to have that moment where somebody betrays us, and the fact is you're going to be okay. You're
Yeah.
yeah.
just the expectation at the end of it, what you're expecting, their reaction to me, what you're expecting. I've since had a beautiful conversation with my family member that like amazing, beautiful, love her. And I've really realized that the entire time, like she doesn't agree with the stuff, and so she doesn't interact with the stuff, but the entire time she just like loves me so much. And she's like, "I'm so proud of what you're doing." I'm like,
That's
proud that you're
beautiful.
just like doing exactly who you're supposed to be being. Yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
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 She Yeah, I think that's what we really are scared of is who's your Judas. I would sit with that. Who are you already expecting to betray you? And once you realize who that is and can kind of sit with it and be like, I'm going to be okay anyways. Maybe
Mm,
you will, maybe you won't have that actually in your face happen in real time. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's the joy of this, isn't it? It's kind of like, you almost can't embody something until you experience it. And so I feel like so
absolutely.
often, like what you're saying with the Judas thing, it's like, yeah, maybe it won't happen, but it's like it kind of has to happen in a way of like, if
Mm,
I'm going to be fully free to say
mhm.
whatever I want and like actually embody that, then you have to go through the process of like, okay, what would be the
Yeah,
hardest thing? What would be the hardest person
yeah,
to have pushback from?
yeah,
right.
yeah.
You probably do that.
Let me process that. Let me like alchemize it and somatically drop into it and figure out
Mm,
all that it's going to invite me into and
mhm,
then go for it. I am curious. You talk about human design some. Ooh, I'm curious
mhm.
if you know if you have any provocation line in your chart anywhere. You're a manifesting generator, right?
Yeah.
One.
I don't even know offhand. I've never heard that term. Do you happen
Okay.
to know which lines they are?
I have a book, so I can talk to you about it later.
We
I
can
don't
get
have
back
it
to
right
it, but
offhand, but
No.
all
I feel like I
your
could probably.
channels and gates. That's what I'm curious about. I'm just like, it sounds like you like I would say I know
Oh,
I
well, I
have.
have gate 51, which is impact, which is, I also have the actual shock gate, which is gate 3.
Oh man,
Um,
the
yeah.
actual shop.
and then I go deep into human design. I guess I'm wondering, because I feel like at this point, as this awareness, I think every line could be essentially provoking someone. Um,
Right. That's fair.
but
That's
Um, I like to go deep into human design and then also go into your sidereal human design, which I've never seen anyone do that before. It is available. You just have to go diving very deep, but it's like the Vedic version. So you have like Western astrology and then you have
right.
Eastern astrology. And so you can see both. And the way I see it really is it's not like one or the other. It's like you're in harmony.
Oh,
And it's like your masculine and your feminine kind of.
mm,
And I also have, I think it's gate 60. So I have like that full shock channel in my
okay.
sidereal one. But
That's
my tropical human design, my incarnation cross is a left cross of revolution too.
Ooh, I
So
like
I'm
that
like
too.
literally here to call out the system, to see the injustices and to be able to somehow bring a physical solution to it. I really haven't figured that out, but it's 1:44 on
Okay.
the clock right now when I said that. So that's interesting. I love a
So
good divine nod. I'm like, okay,
yes.
144. I love it. Yeah, so lots of I don't even know the word that I'm looking for, confrontational
Okay.
qualities.
Yeah. Yeah. I possess some of those as well. But see, I can skew on the side of, well, I'm just gonna say the thing. And like if it's for you, you can hang around.
Mm,
Bye. But I've had to kind of learn a path of saying less and
mm, mhm.
to show people love. In some instances, I have to be quieter because
Yes.
I'm not afraid of confrontation. I'm not afraid to say the thing. And so, especially
You have
within my
gate
family,
12, don't you?
I think so.
What was that?
The gate 12. I
I
can't
can't
remember
remember the
exactly
gate
what the gate
numbers.
is,
Yeah.
but I know that I have this
Yeah.
protection situation going on, and my family members are always going, "You're a bit, you're a bit much. We love you, but like,
But
kind of hear you."
yes.
And I'm like, "Well, then that's on you," which is not true. But I've just grown
Mm,
in awareness of that fact, and but it's interesting because one, like within the social media realm, lots of people I know from like growing up or my evangelical space follow my like
mm,
Instagram. I was like, I'm going to make a public one so that I can post our podcast
mm,
or whatever I'm actually thinking about, the unfiltered me. But
mhm,
then people are finding me and following it. And I was like, oh, I don't want that person to follow here. I don't want, oh, wait. So I actually had some of that come up and like,
mm,
have I just been show up? Am I going to freeze? Or am I going to keep saying the things and being
mhm.
authentic with myself? Because I believe that this truth, all of the truths that keep evolving and changing and growing are like so beautiful. And if I truly believe
Yeah.
that not a threat to the world, that they are not judgmental of anybody or any belief system, but that they are to bring more
Mm,
this light to the world, then why would I not be as bold to share them? And I know why, but like if I'm trying to work through it, I'm like, okay, no, this is
yeah.
for everyone in their own path, in their own way. They're going to take the journey, but I truly believe this is so good and beautiful. And if there's pushback,
Mm,
it's okay. Yeah, just pushing back where they need to push back. It's part of the process.
yeah.
But it's been a lot to learn.
It is a
Mm.
lot to learn. I think for some reason the analogy that's coming through is like doctors, because doctors can't work on their families. And I really don't think like our close relationships are mirrors of ourselves. They're
Oh,
like teaching us things, right? So I don't think when you're
yeah.
speaking in the form of like I'm unapologetically speaking my truth right now into the world, it's not typically for the people around you to witness. It's for somebody out there. It doesn't mean they can't witness it. Um, but I think when we start to release that expectation of like this person
Mm.
needs to see me as I am, they're not gonna see you as you want to be
Yeah.
seen,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Absolutely. 100%.
Mm,
I think too, there's even like freedom in that. So like even in our little families of like kids, husband,
Mm.
mm,
like going back to that whole idea of like just they're in your field. Like they don't even need
yeah.
your work necessarily because they're being influenced by just who you are. And
Mm,
so people out there
mhm.
that are not in your immediate field are the ones who maybe need your voice, your words, the things that you're sharing. But people
Yeah,
really close in, like they're going to be affected by you just being who you are.
Mm.
And so having to like
exactly.
explain that might just take away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Total makes
They're
sense.
getting to experience you. And I think, going back to expectation, if we are expecting them to take it the right way, then that's what you're calling in, right? That's going into consent and like our co-creation of relationships is we're also putting the thing out there that like,
Mm.
I think you're going to show up as an asshole today. And so they're
Yeah.
going to energetically feel that. They
Probably
still
will.
get a consent too. Am I going to show
Yeah.
up like an asshole? Like this energy is asking me to show up like an asshole?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well,
So they still do get consent, but at the end of the day, you are half of the equation. So you get to be like, no, I'm going to assume the best in them. I'm going to see the divine in them and I'm going to not fight it. I'm going to, let it play out as it's supposed to.
Yeah. That's so like legit in marriage too, I feel like. So she like
Yes.
once you have patterns written, like, rewriting them it takes, like, conscious effort, and so if you keep expecting them to show up the
Mm,
way they've always shown up, then they probably will.
mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. They
Yes.
will.
I
The
think
first
for you
step is noticing the pattern.
yeah, and what you said about seeing the divine, and then I think has been a huge shift for me of instead
Mm,
of the sin, looking for the being on guard for, like, where's the darkness, where's the shadow, to, like
yeah, because you were looking for the darkness in them
yes,
instead of
in
the light.
myself too,
Yeah.
like, that was my job was
Yeah.
clock every time I'm misstepping in my sin or whatever so I can repent, so get
Mm,
forgiveness, and so then if you're viewing yourself that
mm,
way, you're viewing the world, you're looking into the world for those things in other people, but coming in and, like, having that love and that divine presence,
yeah.
like, "I'm here. You're beautiful. You are good. You are radiant."
Yes.
You can rest in that, and, like, you can see that in other people.
Right.
You don't have to look out and
Mm,
everything's fallen, everything's broken, everybody needs saving, like, no.
yeah.
There's the divine in the earth. I
Everything,
see
everyone. Yeah.
small, earthy got my trees back here, but, like,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
reflective of goodness and
It's in everything. Yeah.
retrain yourself, though, to see the good and the light instead of all of the darkness, and that you must save the
That
earth.
is the hard part. But you think, like, I often look at the patterns and I'm like, oh, this mirrors this in the world. Because when you think about when we're 16 years old and learning how to drive, I don't know if you learned how to drive at 16 there, but it would have been here at 16. And they're like telling you, don't look at the sign, look at the road, keep your eyes on the road, because wherever you're going to look to is where you're going to go,
We're
right? So if
done.
you're going to
Yeah.
see the light, if you're going to be like, okay, I'm focusing on the light, you're going to see more light. If you're now looking at what are all the missteps I'm doing, you're going to crash into the pool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. And you can translate that to your kids, to your husband, to your friends. Like, what are you
Hmm.
looking forward to seeing? And that's where it's gonna
But you do
go.
have to see the light in you first, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Whew. It's been
Yeah.
such a beautiful journey. Mm. Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Of shining.
Oh.
Shining, finding the light, and then you just get to shine it on everything. On
Yes.
the people around you, on all the little pieces of you that don't wanna be seen. But I don't
Mhm.
think that they don't wanna be seen, I think they're screaming, you know?
Oh,
I've
sure.
really been my daughter recently has been like there's a level of faith, and again, co-creation, but, like, just thinking about the kids that are constantly like, "Mommy, mommy, 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 I want a cookie," and then you're like, "Okay, I'm gonna finish this, then I'll get you your cookie." And then they come back and they're like, "Mommy, I want a cookie. Mommy, I want a cookie," and they're just, like, begging to be seen, and when you start
Mhm.
to realize that's like, you yourself,
Yeah.
you're
Yes.
those little the parts of you that are in the shadow are literally just like, "Hey, can you see me?" Like that comedic TikTok sound that's like, "Does she see
Yeah.
me? Does she?"
Yeah.
That's literally the parts of you. They're like, "Hey, do you see me?" Because if you are yelling at someone, or if you are reacting instead of responding, that is a part of you that's saying, "Hey, I'm over here. Why aren't you giving me any attention?"
Yeah. And I actually think this shows up in, like, symptoms. Like,
Mm, yes.
dis-ease in the body is your body saying, like, "Hey, this part of me that you stored away when you were 3 is,
Mhm.
like, getting tired, running out." So you
Yeah.
get fatigue, you get rashes, you get inflammation because there's anger built up in you or there's
Mhm.
sorrow built up somewhere. I think they are loud,
Yeah.
but we categorize that as, like, being a medical thing that we have no connection or control over, separate from that's separate,
Mhm.
instead of like, "Oh, that's actually a part of me that's just communicating. It just has something to
It's just
say.
communicating.
Just needs
Exactly.
my witness, my attention."
Yeah.
So I think that's why
I
women
totally
especially
agree.
have such high rates of, like, autoimmune issues is I think so much of that is just the little parts of us that are shrinking.
Mm.
To be seen, to be
Yeah.
felt, to be heard. That's something that I've encountered recently. I struggle with a tad bit of, anger at times, just a
Yeah.
little angry sometimes, and having
Don't
it
we all?
well, yeah, but, it comes into my awareness maybe more than other people's, and
Mm.
so I was like, "Okay, let me go think through this. Let me go see what's going on in the
Yeah.
spiritual body. Where am I in this?" And I found
Mm.
myself as a small girl, and I am, like, literally a
Mm.
fireball, just, like, on fire, mad at my now self. I'm, like, trying to approach with love, and she is just
Mm.
don't talk to me, let me scream, let me cry, let me rage for as long as I need to, and don't go anywhere. And
Mhm.
it's just like that analogy of, okay, you've always categorized this as apart from you. Like your anger, Aubrey, is your sin.
Yeah.
You need to put that over there and you need to stop doing it.
Yeah.
You should be the good person you're supposed to be. When all along
Mhm.
she's like there screaming, sing, sit with me. Like,
Mhm.
let me rage till my fire goes out and don't call me back.
Mm.
Please don't call me back. And I think that will
Yeah.
be like a long integration process. Like awareness is good for it, right? But then also knowing I can go inward and heal those
Mhm.
things so that I show up differently. Not that I'll never get angry because I'm not promising
No.
anybody that.
You gotta get it's telling you something, right? And I
Yeah.
think there comes a point where it's also telling you something like what's unjust in this pattern and is it something that I need to fight for? And maybe that's just my incarnation cross speaking of because I'm like, oh, when I'm getting angry, it tells me like, is this something I'm not consenting to anymore? Is
Yeah.
this something that I'm now going to actively speak on? Like,
Yeah.
what is this? So
Yeah.
anger isn't bad, and like nothing's
No.
bad. Everything's neutral. It's however we look at it. But
Yeah.
the idea that you had to repress it for your entire life until like now, until 5 years ago, then you were like, oh, okay, right now I'm
Yeah.
gonna feel the thing, but you should have felt the thing all along. Like my 4-year-old is very emotional, very rageful. She
My
feels the
5-year-old.
thing.
Yeah, someone else.
We got some of those. Oh,
Yeah, and I'm like, "Okay, like, let's give you safe outlets too." Like,
Yeah.
I've taught her breath work, and she knows how to take the big deep breaths, and, like, when she really needs to rage, I say, "Okay, you're gonna go in your bedroom, and you're gonna like, punch your pillow, and you're gonna scream as loud as you want, and this is, like, a safe place to feel it, and
Mhm.
then when you're ready to come and talk to us, you can come and talk to us," right? It's
Yeah.
like it's not a bad thing, but, like, let's give ourselves some tools to, like, feel the thing, and then we can talk about it and be like, "Okay, why did we feel the thing?"
Yeah. Right. It's information. What's the
It's
information
information.
you did?
I
Yes.
feel like anger too is like a moving emotion, like a very
Yeah.
a call for change in some way. And so if you can like lean into
Mm,
it, see what it wants to
mhm.
change and shift, then you actually get the
Yes.
benefit of the anger and it does what it needs to do. It's when we, yeah, like stuff
Totally
it down,
agree.
call it bad or ignore it, that it builds into other things. But I think
Yeah.
anger is just a catalyst for change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely is, and it makes sense because especially with the background that you're coming from, that anger would be, something that comes up often because you haven't been allowed to feel it at all. Like, let's
Well,
be honest, we come here knowing, like, as children, we come here knowing what is wrong, and like you said, our kids have no filters, like, they say what they want, because they know what is wrong, and they will call you out on what is wrong,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
when you're a child and you're put in this religion that is very containing and you've got to be like you are sinful but if you believe in this then you're all of a sudden saved but you also have to keep tally of all your sins and your body's like what are you talking about like
Yeah.
no this is not it and it wants to scream but then you have the parents that are now like oh let's reinforce this and so it's of course, anger. Like you got so much anger pent up because you knew this whole time. You knew something was wrong with this system. And now you have to start seeing the anger as just, okay, what's still wrong with this? Like what do I still need to meet?
Right. It's really interesting you say that because I went for a hike with my dad yesterday. Love
Mm,
him. He's still very much in the same religious framework.
mhm,
Even through the years of me talking to him about all this, he's experienced like tastes of that love, but then he gets scared and goes
mm,
back into like, but it's not in the Bible. I can't because of this.
right.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
he literally said, well, anger is bad. You shouldn't have that. That's an obvious, like, the world is fallen and sinful and people are. So that's obvious. And I was like, okay, I can't even uncover all that's going on here. But it was just a
Yeah.
reinforcement of, okay, yes, this is who raised me. This is
You heard
the
that your whole
mentality. I
life.
heard this
Mm,
my entire life. Don't be mad. That's wrong. That's bad. And then
yeah.
still be in that place of like, how could you say? I was like, no, it's information, Dad. It's like showing me somewhere that I can shift or somewhere I've allowed a boundary to be crossed or something
Yeah.
to change. And it's just information. Who's like, no, it isn't. It's full. And I
You
was
are
like,
wrong.
oh, okay.
Mm.
Okay. I got quiet. That was one of those moments where usually I would fight and like try to be heard, but learning where the places to speak up and where they're not. And that's one that's not, but it's just as you're saying about that saying like, yes, I just got that reinforcement again by the person who raised me and showed me the way. So like, aren't you able now? Like, isn't that almost like just a beautiful picture of information of like, oh yeah, this is how I was raised. This is why I have these issues with anger. Yeah. And I don't have to be bound to that anymore. I don't have to believe what I used to believe anymore. I can actually choose something different and I can see the stark contrast. Yes. Which is a gift in a way. It's a gift. It is a gift.
It is a gift. It is. And that was one of the big things that I remembered at the beginning was I had this download and it was like, I remember choosing this life. And for me, a lot of my downloads sometimes come with like a lot of emotion and I'm like crying on the bedroom floor and I'm feeling all of the grief of all the generations. And then, 5 minutes later, I'm cool and I can go and I let the emotion run through me. But I realized that like going back to autoimmune, I had endometriosis and I say had because I'm asymptomatic now, but, I had it growing up, like the worst periods ever. And the way I find out is there's like a grapefruit sized cyst on my ovary. That's a fun way to find out. That I was like, it like popped out of place and like I could feel it. And I was like, oh, what's that? Let's just push it back in. And then it was more pain. And so I finally went to the ER. But the point is like during that time where I am ill as like so ill and I'm like having the worst periods, the worst bleeding, the worst cramps ever. I'm living in a dynamic where I'm with a man who also can't regulate his emotions. And so I'm a non-emotional human design. So I'm taking on all of this and I don't know how to process it. And then I have my mom who also is emotional and also doesn't understand how to handle her emotions. So I've got these two very up and down, very big emotions that don't know how to deal with their emotions. And then I don't realize that I'm just taking on everyone's and amplifying them. And then I store it in the body. And it's not.
It grow into a grapefruit size.
It grows into a grapefruit size. Hey, you can't ignore me anymore. You need to get your shit together. And interestingly, I then had my first child. I then had, I got this thing removed. She was a surprise. We're going to call her a surprise. And I get pregnant with her like right after because I've now like cleaned my uterus out. And all of a sudden I'm like, I don't want to live this way anymore. I don't want to teach her that this is okay.
Yeah.
I don't want her to grow up and be like, oh, it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to feel this shitty about myself. It's okay to be treated the way I'm being treated. And I was like, no, I don't want her to think that this is fine. And like looking back, I'm like, everything had to happen exactly the way it had to happen to get me to this point of my awareness where I am now. So when you start to think about it that way, your dad is exactly where he's supposed to be right now because his contract was to be exactly what he's supposed to be. Like he was supposed to do this for you so that you could choose differently for your children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo. I was thinking about that when you were talking about your daughter, just like, because you had said I had like chose this life, like and I don't know, but it may have been like y'all contracted together. I'm coming in and do this with you. I'm for you. I think all of our children are.
Yeah.
In a way, somehow choosing to come in, choosing to take on whatever state we're in, because I've been a completely different mother each time I've had a child. And so each time you're getting a totally different version of me, but it's leaning into not feeling guilt and shame about that, but understanding that like that's exactly what they needed as well.
Yeah. I just had that mirrored yesterday, because I was what my 13-year-old calls gentle parenting the 4-year-old that has big emotions. And she kept coming out of her room, didn't want a nap. And I was like, honey, like we have to have a nap and this is why. And then she's like, I don't want to be in there. And so I'm like, okay, why? And then we're having like a conversation. And then like I finally get her in her room and my 13-year-old's like, your gentle parenting is so triggering to me. And I was like, what do you mean? Because like when she was younger, I was still figuring it out, right? Like I wasn't as bad as before I had her, but I was still like, eh. And
Yeah.
so
Been there.
I'm like, do you want me to yell at her? Do you want me to yell? And she's like, well, no, I can't even remember the last time you yelled at me, Mom. And I'm like, okay, so then I should be treating her the same way. But
Yeah.
it's just interesting because I totally agree. I had that literally mirrored yesterday when she's like, why are your gentle parenting is triggering? But then I'm like, but I'm gentle parenting you too. And she's like, oh, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. But it's
yeah.
my oldest one is very similar. Like, they're your favorite. They're da da da. You're talking to them. You're giving them.
Mm,
It's like I'm giving that
mhm,
to you,
mhm,
but
mhm,
it's
mhm.
that bit of time in the very beginning where I didn't have it figured out,
Yeah.
and they're a different mother, and they're like, but you didn't treat me that way when I was that age, and like I'm
Mhm.
upset. There's something for them in that, right?
Yeah.
It It is interesting. It's just like, how is this gonna go? As
Yes.
my kids grow and my awareness grows and the conversations start to shift and they take on more of their own
Mm,
responsibility and sovereignty and awareness, I just am
mhm.
excited, but it's also like, "Ooh, this is such a vast world that I did not
It
grow up."
is. Mhm.
How will that translate being a parent to an older like, to these kids that grow up with these moms? We lost. Yeah, no, I'm
Well,
just very interesting.
ideally, you give them some reason to have therapy too, because it's not about
Oh,
being
God.
perfect right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I
Done.
kinda just remind myself always that, like, if nothing else, I'm willing to own where I've messed up. So, like, if
Yeah.
nothing else, I'm gonna
Yes.
step into this place of, like, fully accepting that I have damaged them
Mhm.
in whatever way, that it's somehow
Mhm.
for them. And if they wanna, if they
Mhm.
need to do whatever in our relationship, that
Yeah.
I still don't have to turn that onto them and make them the problem. I can actually
Yes.
ownership for my role and also trust and not lean into guilt and shame. Trust that, like, even when I was harming them in whatever way, that it is ultimately,
Mm. Yeah.
it's not always
And it
easy.
is. But I mean, the more we reflect back on it, and that's why I think it's always like us first, and then we can do the thing. Because the more you look back and you're like, okay, let me look back at this situation in my past, like with your parents or brothers or other relationships, and you're like, okay, I can see why it has taught me this thing. At least for me, it has been a level of like looking within myself and then being able to like act from it in real time. And then when I have the time and energy to now reflect back on my past, I can look back at these situations and be like, okay, that's why I'm mirroring it now. And
Mhm.
then the next part is like, can I look back on these situations and do what my beautiful, I love my father. He's like the best. I've always been a daddy's girl. And he said something to me at one point that made me want to bawl my eyes out. And that was, like I said it in the live today, but it was that when I was in this like toxic dynamic that with the father of my older two, he said to me, it takes two to tango. And I was like, what in the do you mean it takes two to tango? And that was like so
Yeah.
triggering. And like, it wasn't a triggering that like fractured our relationship, but the words stuck in my head. And so the next layer of unraveling to me has been looking back at all of these situations and being like,
Mhm.
I am 50% of every situation. And how have can I take radical responsibility for the 50% that I have unconsciously, usually,
Yeah.
created?
Yeah.
Isn't that just
So
the
much fun.
fun
That's
invitation of
the most fun
fun?
part, isn't it?
Fun. Fun.
Yeah.
This is something you tell me all the time is like, you are the source of your own problems. And it's such a
Yeah.
loving, honest thing, but it's like, she's the one that's gonna come in and be like, I hear you. That's hard. And you're the source of your own problems. Not in a way of like, you are the
Yeah.
problem, but
You're
you
making the
have
problem.
everything
You're
within
making
you.
it a problem too.
Yes. Yes. You have everything within you to shift that narrative, to go inward, to find that inner like peace and
Mhm.
safety, regardless of all these things, and then show up authentically yourself. And how
Yeah.
are you laughing? Because I'm just thinking about that. I mean, it's real.
But
It's
it's funny, you
real.
don't come to me to, like, get that, like, "Oh, I'm
You
so
come for
sorry."
the real.
Actually, like, I don't know if I've said I'm
Yeah.
sorry to at all in the
Anyone.
past couple of years. I've, like, been very consciously like, "You know, I'm actually not sorry,
Yeah.
even if this horrible thing is
Mhm.
happening to you." You know,
Mm.
I care about how you feel, and I love you, but
But
this is for you, and
yeah.
I'm not sorry that it's
Mm.
and
Yeah, let me tell you, the way you
I'm
show
gonna
up
adopt that. I like that.
is good because as someone I like love deep connections and like I can swing on the pendulum of more like codependent, but for her to be this friend who comes in and shows up and is like that real, but she shows
Mm.
up so like embodied with love and not the coddling kind of like I'm gonna tell you what you
Mm.
want to hear. Like, you're gonna get through this. I'm right
Yeah.
here. You got this. Like, find your inner safety and I'm right here next to you. But it has,
Mhm.
like, caused me as a woman, as a sister, as a friend to grow in my own autonomy, even in moments I had some
Yeah.
dark moments with my daughter in the past year and a half, and
Mm.
the way this one showed up of just that, the presence of, like, she's not coming in to fix anything. She's not even coming in to, like, nurture
Mm.
necessarily.
Mhm.
She's just bringing this sense of, "You got this. This is for you."
Yeah.
And
would you even call that, like, co-regulation? I
maybe.
haven't put this
Yeah.
together. I have a little, a little background in, like, nervous system work, whatever, but I hadn't thought about that. But just
Yeah.
being like, "I'm gonna be
I would
steady,
say, yeah.
and you can feed into that if you want. I'm here to, like, offer that to you, but I'm not gonna meet you down in your,
Depths.
dysregulating
Yeah.
spiral. Like, Imma watch you do it. I'm gonna sit here and let you have
Yeah.
it. I'm actually gonna stay totally fine."
But it calls me
That's
up.
what it is to hold space, like, in terms
Yes.
of
Yeah.
therapy, and the problem is I think therapy is very valid, but there's a certain level where you're, like, meeting in that trauma bond, and it can
Yeah.
be not good. So,
Yes.
yes, we need more
Yeah.
people that are holding space like that, and that's when I said earlier at the beginning of the podcast that, like, I had really, like, being pulled back into the 3D was yesterday, like, my husband was just not in a good mood, and I said one thing and, like, it went off on a spiral, and then I came back here, and then I was, like, centered, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna go downstairs," and I explained to him, like, my point of view really quickly, and then he was, like, just really dysregulated and, like, venting, and I was like, "Okay," like, I'm like, "Let everything out, like, whatever you need to say right now, just say it all, and I'm gonna meet you where you are," and I just, like, held space for
Wonderful.
a half an hour, but let me tell you, if you wanna transmute your husband's shit, you will get a migraine after, because I did.
It takes
Oh.
some energy, I would say, for sure. And you do this for me too. Like, I still spiral. I'm not saying that. I do my own spirals. But I think
Yeah.
what we've learned is one, being able to hold that space in friendship, but also like finding God within yourself
Mhm.
and always
Mhm.
having access to someone who's completely regulated. Like, God is never
Yes.
regulated. No part of God is ever
Yes.
regulated. And so anytime you
Mhm.
need that, you actually have access to it, even if you don't have a physical
Yeah.
person
Exactly.
with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always felt like it's all about the co-regulation with God. However
Yeah.
you God creator, I don't care what you label it, but
Right.
you need to find that safe space. And some people meditate and they don't label it and like it's all Buddha and yes, but it's all
Yeah.
the same thing. Like we get
Yeah.
so focused on the fact that we're like, oh, it has to be meditation, it has to be prayer, it has to be whatever feels good in your body
Mhm.
because it's going to look different from everyone. And all of these sacred texts are speaking to the same thing. They're speaking
Yeah.
to that same field that is love, and that is all. And they're all tapping into it in their own unique ways. And you just need to go out there and find the one that speaks to you. And for me, I feel like it's a Frankenstein of many different things. Like,
Yes.
I love some yoga. I love some meditation. I love breath work. I love like prayer. So it kind of just depends on what I want that day. And when
Mhm.
we start to limit ourselves to like, I know it's got to be this, it's got to be that. And then
Right.
we also box ourselves in because we're like, oh, well, it's Christianity is talking about this thing and Buddhists are talking about that thing. Actually, they're talking about the same thing. They're just putting a bunch
Different
of different
verbiage.
words. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder too, though, even like layering down, like, are we born into the best framework for us to find that place?
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we look around the world, well,
Yes.
oh, like we grow up in this world where it's like, oh, we've got to go to those places where they've never heard this way that we think. When in reality, they were probably born
Yes.
exactly into the framework that's the best framework
For
for
them.
them to find this
Mm-hmm.
place of being in
Yes.
relationship and co-regulation with God.
Yeah.
And like, can
Exactly.
you just trust
Yeah.
that like
Everyone.
everyone is actually having the best access.
Exactly.
And there's a verse in
Yes.
the Bible, we used to debate this in home church. Do you remember that? About God
Yes.
puts everyone
It acts.
in the best place
Yes.
for them to find him. It literally says that. And
Yes.
her and I would debate about this so much because I'd be like, this is where it is. And she's like, I don't
So
know.
who was right?
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
just kidding. We
As you
don't
say,
have a right or wrong. I think you got to go through all, like, we do still have free will. Because when I look at myself, I'm like, I will look back on my life for the last 5, 10 years, and there have been, signs of people like trying to wake me up. And I'll even take a couple steps in that direction. And then I'm like, nope. Right.
yeah.
So it's not even, I think sometimes it can be overwhelming too, because you're like, oh, like we're all put into the right situation and there's all these contracts involved and there's all this, that, but you still have free will.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is all free will, right? Like you still get to decide, I'm going to actually embody, and the embodiment is the decision. If we're being honest, it's the only decision because I can understand it. Thinking about like sin being a big one that came into my awareness like many times at the beginning where I was like, okay, there is no such thing as sin. And I just couldn't, like, I understood it and I would even say it, but I didn't really feel it. I didn't know what I was saying. And then I'm driving home and we're coming back from church because at that point we were still going to church, and all of a sudden I just got like swarmed with like the feeling like I'm just in the field with God and I can feel what God feels like when somebody sins. And when somebody sins in the eyes of God, it's like, oh, well, they're just taking that next step into leading them to me. He doesn't care if it's good or bad because it's all neutral and it's all a step back towards God. And
Yeah.
so I was like, oh, and then once I felt that in my body, I'm like, okay, now I get it. Right. And now I get, and then I've had since then, like experiences where I experience it like in, I misstep and then I'm like, oh, wait. And then I correct myself. And then I'm like, oh, I needed that to get to this thing, right?
Mm,
So you reflect back afterwards, but until I like felt it, it didn't mean a thing. Like I was still talking about it. And I think sometimes we need to talk about it, right? Because you need to keep putting it out there that, hey, I'm calling in an experience that's going to slap me in the face and is going to show me that I am somehow right about this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what was really helpful in the sin front for us was like rewriting what sin is. So it wasn't a
Mm,
dig for me to be like, there is no sin, but for me to move to like, sin is when I believe a lie about myself. And then being able to
yeah.
see, so like the way that I act when when I believe that I'm not loved or that I don't belong or that I'm a burden, I may act
Mm-hmm.
out in a way that could be called sin, but
Mm-hmm.
God sees the underlying thing. And so,
Yes, God sees all the patterns. He sees
yeah,
everything.
so being able to kind of move into that place of like God's always seeing it from this like massive compassion and like love for
Mm-hmm.
me, who I really am, and wanting to call me back into who I really am shifted my whole view of, like, how God
Yeah.
loves us, how God sees us, how God sees sin, like, sin, however you wanna label that, but
Yeah, I think going to like time and we think like we've got to live this life and then we get to God, but we're already with God. In God's
yeah.
eyes, we're already there, right? Like he already knows we've made it there. We're already there. And so how could he possibly look at your life afterwards, and be like, oh, well, that was bad. Don't do that. Bad girl, because he's already with you. There is a point right now in time. It's not linear. It's all happening at the same time. And there's a point right now where you're already chilling with God, whatever that looks like. I don't know what that looks like. I won't know in this lifetime, I'm
right.
sure.
Like the kingdom is here now. It's within us. Like God within us in communion with each other, us in communion with the
Yes,
like that's
that's
connection with
God.
God, that's
Hmm.
presence with the divine. And
Hmm.
instead of feeling that like there's this disconnect and we have to get to the point of connection, like this life's terrible, it's
Yeah,
sinful, it's dead and
it's
bad, and we
not.
get to perfection. It's like, actually, no, there's access to God for anyone that wants it now.
Yeah.
And finding that within, I think, has been the like biggest transformation for us. When we told our story, our favorite part was when we started to enter into the spiritual realm often and have these experiences
Mm,
of the feeling of love or this
yeah.
the father we call Abba or finding for us the mother of like the feminine of God in
Mm,
the secret place and finding her nurturing presence or her and I mean like God showed up for us in the ways that spoke to us in those moments that like the
exactly.
most healing and
Yeah.
the silencing of women. I think a big part of it for us was God's going to show you this and God's going to open up these different avenues for you to see that I'm with you
Mm,
however you need. You don't have to um yeah, wait.
Yeah, there's a lot of we're waiting for Jesus to come back
yeah.
to get
Yeah.
to heaven. This world is bad and broken, and you might as well light it on fire because that's where it's
That's very
headed.
triggering, or it was for me, that idea.
And I don't know, maybe we are gonna burn it, but it will be a purification of like, I don't know, like
Mhm.
just moving into this place of like I can actually be in like this fully embodied joy and presence now,
Mhm.
and I don't have to wait
Yes.
for that. Yeah. I don't have to wait for
Yeah.
everything around to change to
I
get
think
to
though, like, nervous system regulation is like when you're not in a good mood, you're showing up and you're treating someone like you're treating your kids like crap, you're treating your husband like crap. And so you're actually, in a sense, keeping the world shitty. Right? And
Yeah.
if we realize
Yeah.
that,
Mhm.
right, like you being able to feel God now and bring the joy into your life now, that means you're showing up to the person beside you with joy instead of
Absolutely.
anger. They might like all of a sudden flip the switch and now they're showing up to the next person that way. And it's
Mhm.
actually making a ripple effect. But
right.
we're so stuck on the fact that like this outside God is coming and burning down the whole planet. That was just so triggering for me, and
Oh,
honestly was like a big part where I was like, I don't want to know. I don't want to be in a church where they're like talking about how God is love and how Jesus is going to save us, and then the next breath they're up on stage and they're saying, I know the world is so corrupt and evil right now, but Jesus is coming and he's going to take us with them and he's going to burn all this down. And I'm like, I'm tapped out. See ya. I'm done.
yeah. Yes.
At some point, yeah. At some point when you stop compartmentalizing yourself, you start to see all the incongruencies in what you believe. So it's like as you start to integrate different
Mm,
parts of yourself, you're like, you know what, this really doesn't line
feel
up
good.
that well. It
Yeah.
doesn't really
Mm-mm.
match anymore.
It's all fear, like so much
A
shame,
lot of
so
fear.
much fear, so
Yes.
much guilt, and raising children to believe that about themselves and then raising them to
Yeah.
fear God and be so fearful that you get saved and make sure you're safe.
Yeah.
Like, no, that was for me as far as being a mother was a huge catalyst for me to ask these deeper questions and say, like, I don't want to tell my kids, well, you're just a little
Mhm.
and you just need Jesus. So come
You
on.
just need Jesus.
Hey.
Yeah.
Like, I just,
I love flipping that table and being like, Jesus has always been with you. Literally been in every
Yes.
life. And that was like
Mhm.
thing when we moved into like the secret place was like starting to see and even doing story work was starting to see like where Jesus has literally been with me in
every
every
step.
moment of my life. And that's
Mm.
the deep, dark
Mhm.
things that you bury down that like
Mhm.
he's there and he's meeting you with complete compassion and not judgment.
Yeah.
There's no shame. Like the removal of shame in being in his presence was like
Right.
just like,
You didn't realize how much you were covered in it,
yeah,
or how much I was covered in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a beautiful way to do it, is sit down and find all of the moments where you have had God show up, Jesus show up. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a great place to start.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we
Mm.
want to touch on anything else? Because this is a beautiful conversation. Do we need to dive deeper into a mother wound or?
Well, anything?
I don't know. Like what kind of like I don't know, kind of resolved on some of those things, but yeah, it's
Mm.
beautiful.
I'm glad. How about you?
Yeah. I feel good. I feel like it was a very beautiful conversation. This is honestly my favorite part of all of this, is being able to find other souls. And I know like we're both kind of speaking to similar lenses, but not the same because every path is completely
Yes.
different, right?
Yeah.
Um, but to just be able to sit with people, and like the fact that I got to spend the entire day, because I talked to Chase earlier, and have these beautiful open conversations. Like, can
Yeah.
we just show, can we make it normal to show people that people can sit down and not argue? and just be like, oh, I hear what you're saying, but this is like this layer. And then you're like, oh yeah, I hear what you're saying. And this is, and we're not like, no, you're wrong. Like, can we
Right.
just normalize conversations where we're just meeting and witnessing and adding lovingly and then not yelling at each other, you know?
Yeah.
That would be
Or
beautiful.
having to be completely on the exact same page with every single thing. That is such a
Exactly.
freeing and beautiful thing to just witness the goodness in each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
Thanks for
Yeah, well,
having me.
thank you so much for coming. We can do it again.
So
Just give
thank
me
you
a
for asking
pocket
stories and asking all
topic.
things, but well,
Yeah. Whenever another topic comes through and it's like, I need to talk to Jess about this one,
Yeah.
then you
yeah.
can send
This
me.
one gets a lot of downloads too. That's
Mm,
what she's the manifester. I'm a generator and you're a manifesting generator. And I just think that's so funny. But she'll be like, oh, just got to
mm.
download. Got this. This just dropped in. And I'm like, oh, you're so cool. Like, you're so like magical.
Happens too.
I do too. But there's something I think, and I
Mm,
wonder if that spark for you is like this. Do
I
you get a
think
lot?
I do get a lot.
Yeah.
Now at this point where I'm at, I feel like I'm living most of my life in the field, and now I realize that like my husband, his contract is to pull me down. Like it's
Okay.
also to like
Mhm.
anchor the household now because I'm like there are times where I like the other day I came up here to do one thing that would take 10 minutes and then I started getting downloads and I went downstairs an hour and a half later.
Yeah.
Um and so, we're just trying to survive. But I didn't even see them as downloads at first. I think
Okay.
I had this woman record a podcast with me a couple days ago and she was talking about how she can see energy now, like she can see spirit if you want to call it that.
Mhm.
And I was like, that is so cool. She's like, I teach people how to do this all the time. And I was like, okay, book me in. When are we seeing each
So
other?
cool.
Because um at the end of the day, I think that we're capable of all of the ways
Oh, I
to
think so
feel
too.
and
Yeah.
experience God. It's just like, what are you putting your awareness on, your attention on? What are you going? And so I guess the question is like, what do you want to have downloads? Because I think for me, it didn't feel like a download at first. It felt like I would get this weird thing in my awareness, like an instance of understanding. And then
Mhm.
I would try and write it down or speak it, and I couldn't do it. And so then I'd let
Mhm.
it go. And then what I started doing was I would get the thing and then I would be like, okay. And I just start talking. Uh,
Mhm.
you could
Okay.
use ChatGPT, you can use a voice note, and I would just ramble until it started channeling through me. So now I feel like at this point, and Aubrey, I invite you to try this, but at this point for Laura, like if you feel like you want to be channeling messages, practice that. Like practice like literally just on the flow, letting all the things out and
I think I don't
be
yeah, I tend to hold everything in
mm,
my headspace and work it all out until it is perfectly polished, exactly how I think it wants to be
mm,
delivered. So I think there is, yeah, freedom in maybe just letting something
there's
like flow through without
yeah,
overthinking it. Mhm.
you will start then, and I mean you do it now even like when we're having conversations I can feel spirit kind of just flowing through you as you're connecting, but it will get to a point where you can tap into others. Like I've channeled messages for people, not on purpose, but um
We do a lot of that, like,
Yeah.
hit prophecies for each other, I think is what we would have called it,
Yeah. Another
or
language.
yeah,
vision
yeah.
or things like that,
Yeah.
and it helps me to have a physical person and other people
Yes.
that I'm close to where I can, maybe something will come through and we see Voxer all the time and,
Yeah.
we'd, like, send each other these really long, elaborate Voxer
Yeah.
messages,
I just tell you this. Here's what God is saying right now.
yeah, or this is what,
Yeah.
um yeah, though.
Yeah. And it's interesting because you had like there's so many people in like the church that I went to before is not evangelical, but they're non-denominational, but there's a lot of them that are coming from that space.
Yeah.
And so I would say it is more than isn't. Um, but like there's so many people there. I had women coming up to me and being like, you are destined for like amazing things. And then I had a prophet come in and be like, there's something to do with the tablet and like this. And like, I'm like, something to do with kids and I've been fighting to put breath work in school now and now I'm like, oh, that's why and I'm like understanding. But and then there's like of some people speaking tongues, whether that's like whatever. Like there's so many people in these spaces that are feeling and spirit, but then they're told it has to look a certain way, and so they don't go past that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It also, like, can become very, like, identity based. I know we were, like, wrapping up, but I'm like, this is a whole another thing of just, like, I remember kinda getting into the charismatic space, and it's like, I'm a prophet, I'm a teacher, I'm an apostle, I'm a whatever. Like,
You
you
have to
kind
pick
of
your
move
lane.
The
yeah, you pick
label.
your lane. And you kind of, like, follow the parameters of that
Because if you get
certain
outside of what
Yes.
the Bible teaches you about that specific gift, then you're outside of
That's not
scripture and
safe.
Then
not safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. Yes. No, I've never liked labels personally. So if someone once was like, "Oh, you're like an apostle or something," and I was like, I don't. I'm nothing. I'm me."
I'm me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually me. Yeah, I don't need a label. And I think it then I'm at this point where I'm like, I don't even want a label. Like, I just want to, I'm a witness. And to that means that times I'm guiding people. That means that times I'm just holding space and listening. And that means at times I'm changing dirty diapers. Who
Yeah.
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? That's so beautiful, though.
I love that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you
And we'll
for
do it again soon.
meeting with us and,
Yeah.
yeah, sharing your wisdom. We really appreciate it.
It's really beautiful. Thank
Anytime.
you.
You too. There's wisdom everywhere.